Wait for it.
The Consumer Electronics Show, or CES, is happening this week in Vegas. This is one of the largest and most influential technology trade shows in the world. Over 135,000 attendees and 4,300 exhibitors. And of that, 60% of the Fortune 500 are represented. Last night, Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, had a keynote presentation, and I watched that via the stream. Today, I'm going to share the highlights, give you a supercut from that presentation. I'll also provide commentary as we go, and towards the end of the video, we'll talk specifically about NVIDIA stock and whether I think it's a buy or not right now. Now, you probably already know that NVIDIA started as a gaming company, but in the last couple of years, pivoted extremely to data center for AI revenue. 78% of FY24 revenue for NVIDIA came from data center, only 17% from gaming, 3% from professional visualization, and automotive is only 2%. Now, we're going to talk about all four of these areas, but first, we're going to start off with data center and Blackwell.
It's driving enormous demand for NVIDIA computing. It's driving enormous demand for this incredible chip we call Blackwell. Let's take a look at Blackwell. Well, Blackwell is in full production. It is incredible what it looks like. So first of all, there's some, every single cloud service provider now have systems up and running. We have systems here from about 15 computer makers. It's being made about 200 different SKUs, 200 different configurations. They're liquid-cooled, air-cooled, x86, NVIDIA Grace CPU versions, NVLink 36 by 2, NVLink 72 by 1, whole bunch of different types of systems so that we can accommodate just about every single data center in the world. These systems are being currently manufactured in some 45 factories. It tells you how pervasive artificial intelligence is and how much the industry is jumping onto artificial intelligence in this new computing model. The reason why we're driving it so hard is because we need a lot more computation. And it's very clear this entire room supercomputer only recently achieved an exaflop plus. This is 1.4 exaflops of AI floating point performance. It has 14 terabytes of memory, but here's the amazing thing. The memory bandwidth is 1.2 petabytes per second. That's basically the entire internet traffic that's happening right now. The entire world's internet traffic is being processed across these chips, okay? And we have 130 trillion transistors in total, 2,592 CPU cores, whole bunch of networking. These are our ConnectX networking chips. These are the NVLink, and these are all of the HBM memories, 14 terabytes of HBM memory. This is what we're trying to do, and this is the miracle. This is the miracle of the Blackwell system. The Blackwell dies right here. It is the largest single chip the world's ever made. But yet, the miracle is really, in addition to that, this is the Grace Blackwell system. Can I have a Michelob Ultra? How is it possible that we're in the Michelob Ultra Stadium? It's like coming to NVIDIA and we don't have a GPU for you. So we need an enormous amount of computation because we want to train larger and larger models. And these inferences used to be one inference, but in the future, the AI is going to be talking to itself. It's going to be thinking. It's going to be internally reflecting, processing. So today, when the tokens are being generated at you, so long as it's coming out at 20 or 30 tokens per second, is basically as fast as anybody can read. However, in the future, we need the token rates, the token generation rates, to go way up. And we also have to drive the cost way down simultaneously so that the quality of service can be extraordinary, the cost to customers can continue to be low, and AI will continue to scale. And so that's the fundamental purpose, the reason why we created NVLink.
So some of those stats are absolutely mind-boggling, but we already knew about Blackwell. Why is this stock selling off? I think part of the reason is just we didn't get a lot of information from Jensen. Honestly, from my perspective, this is a consumer electronics show. But the reason I think that the stock has seen some pressure, number one, it ran into it. We have earnings that's going to be coming up. Of course, the stock is not necessarily cheap. From a PE ratio, it is, but when you look at price to sales, not so much. So the risk here is if the margins come down. So there's pricing power right now. You got gross margins of 73, 75%. If that pricing power comes down, you're going to see pressure then on some of those other ratios. So the PE ratio is historically pretty good. In fact, it's cheaper today than it was a couple of years ago before this whole run even started. But when you look at the price of sales, it's a different story. So we didn't get any update from Blackwell on the backlog. And from my perspective, again, I don't think it was something that I expected to hear because it's a consumer electronics show, but there was no update on Blackwell backlog. So no update on the key topic investors were anticipating. Well, this isn't really an investor conference. So GTC is going to be a whole different can of worms. That's going to be coming here in a couple of months, but we didn't hear anything about backlog. If you look at the last earnings call, we got a quote that said Blackwell demand is expected to exceed supply for several quarters in fiscal 2026. There was no mention of that. There was also no mention of Rubin. That's going to be the next generation platform for GPUs. So it could be a combination of things, but this is one of the reasons that the stock is seeing pressure today.
AI has been advancing at an incredible pace since. Started with perception AI. We now can understand images and words and sounds. To generative AI, we can generate images and text and sounds. And now, agentic AI. AIs that can perceive, reason, plan, and act. And then the next phase, some of which we'll talk about tonight, physical AI. GeForce enabled AI to reach the masses. And now, AI is coming home to GeForce. There are so many things that you can't do without AI. That was real-time computer graphics. The latest generation of DLSS also generates beyond frames. It can predict the future, generating 3 additional frames for every frame that we calculate. What you saw, if we just said 4 frames of what you saw, because we're going to render 1 frame and generate 3. If I said 4 frames at full HD, 4K, that's 33 million pixels or so. Out of that 33 million pixels, we computed only 2. It is an absolute miracle that we can computationally using programmable shaders and our ray tracing engine, to compute 2 million pixels and have AI predict all of the other 33. Everyone, today we're announcing our next generation, the RTX Blackwell family. Let's take a look. Here it is, our brand new GeForce RTX 50 series Blackwell architecture. The GPU is just a beast. 92 billion transistors, 4,000 TOPS, 4 petaflops of AI, 3 times higher than the last generation Ada. And we need all of it to generate those pixels that I showed you. 380 ray tracing teraflops so that we could, for the pixels that we have to compute the most beautiful image you possibly can. And of course, 125 shader teraflops. There's actually a concurrent shader teraflops as well as an integer unit of equal performance. So 2 dual shaders. One is for floating point, one is for integer. G7 memory from Micron, 1.8 terabytes per second, twice the performance of our last generation. And we now have the ability to intermix AI workloads with computer graphics workloads. And one of the amazing things about this generation is the programmable shader is also able to now process neural networks. So the shader is able to carry these neural networks, and as a result, we invented neural texture compression and neural material shading. As a result of that, you get these amazingly beautiful images that are only possible because we use AIs to learn the texture, learn the compression algorithm, and as a result, get extraordinary results. This is the brand new RTX.
And Jensen spends the next several minutes talking about the pricing for each of these models. And you can see it ranges from $549 to $2,000.
Starting from 5070 all the way up to 5090. 5090, twice the performance of a 4090.
And one of the most impressive things here is they're actually going to compress this into a laptop version.
It is incredible, but we managed to put these in gigantic performance GPUs into a laptop. This is a 5070 laptop for $1,299. This 5070 laptop has a 4090 performance. So can you imagine? You get this incredible graphics card here, Blackwell. We're going to shrink it and put it in there. Does that make any sense? And what's really amazing is the family of GPUs we're going to put in here. And so the 5090 will fit into a laptop, a thin laptop. That last laptop was 14.9 millimeters. You got a 5080, 5070 Ti, and 5070. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the RTX Blackwell family. To help the industry build agentic AI, our go-to-market is not direct to enterprise customers. Our go-to-market is we work with software developers in the IT ecosystem to integrate our technology to make possible new capabilities, just like we did with CUDA libraries. We now want to do that with AI libraries. And just as the computing model of the past has APIs that are doing computer graphics or doing linear algebra or doing fluid dynamics, in the future, on top of those acceleration libraries, CUDA acceleration libraries, we'll have AI libraries. We've created 3 things for helping the ecosystem build agentic AI.
This next part is really important, but I'll be honest with you, if you watch the presentation, you can get lost in the weeds as Jensen's talking about AI agents and NIMs and so on. I'm trying to simplify this for you. So if you look at this right here, it gives you the structure. And this is going to be that IT ecosystem with state-of-the-art AI models and libraries to build what he's calling agentic AI. Now, essentially what he talks about is your IT team is going to essentially manage a bunch of AI agents, so almost like the HR team for the IT group. In a nutshell, these AI programs can perform multi-step tasks across different apps. Companies like Google and Microsoft are betting big on AI agents as the next big shift in enterprise and consumer AI. And this will automate mundane tasks such as importing information, data entry, emails, spreadsheets, and so on. In fact, the CEO of Microsoft said that AI agents will transform SaaS, software as a service, as we know it. He believes that the business logic or rules aspect will be taken over by AI agents. Now, NVIDIA is doing most of this as open source. And so it's interesting, but they're trying to get as many people as they can to work on these programs. It's definitely a huge piece of the puzzle for NVIDIA going forward strategically, and I had to at least include it in the video. The problem is I could spend an hour just on this topic.
We're also working with the ecosystem. All of our NVIDIA AI technologies are integrated into the IT industry. We have great partners and really great work being done at ServiceNow, at SAP, at Siemens for industrial AI. Cadence is doing great work. Synopsys is doing great work. I'm really proud of the work that we do with Perplexity. As you know, they revolutionized search.
I'm just taking you over to Discord really fast to show you the NVIDIA partners that Jensen Huang just mentioned. So you can see the system integrators, the agent platforms and applications, and the data platforms. These are the companies, the stock tickers associated for each. So you could potentially explore in some of these stocks and maybe find an investment.
Today, we're announcing a very big thing. We're announcing NVIDIA Cosmos, a world foundation model that is designed, that was created to understand the physical world. NVIDIA Cosmos, the world's first world foundation model. It is trained on 20 million hours of video. The AV revolution has arrived. After so many years, with Waymo's success and Tesla's success, it is very, very clear autonomous vehicles has finally arrived. Well, our offering to this industry is the three computers: the training systems to train the AIs, the simulation systems, and the synthetic data generation systems, Omniverse and now Cosmos, and also the computer that's inside the car. Well, today we're announcing that our next generation processor for the car, our next generation computer for the car, is called Thor. I have one right here. Hang on a second. Okay, this is Thor. This is Thor. This is a robotics computer. This is a robotics computer. It takes sensors and just a madness amount of sensor information, process it, umpteen cameras, high resolution, radars, lidars, they're all coming into this chip. And this chip has to process all that sensor, turn them into tokens, put them into a transformer, and predict the next path. And this AV computer is now in full production. Thor is 20 times the processing capability of our last generation Orin, which is really the standard of autonomous vehicles today. And so this is just really quite incredible. Thor is in full production. This robotics processor, by the way, also goes into a full robot. And so it could be an AMR, it could be a humanoid robot, it could be the brain, it could be the manipulator. This processor basically is a universal robotics computer. The second part of our drive system that I'm incredibly proud of is the dedication to safety. Drive OS, I'm pleased to announce, is now the first software-defined programmable AI computer that has been certified up to ASIL D, which is the highest standard of functional safety for automobiles. The only and the highest. And so I'm really, really proud of this. ASIL D, ISO 26262. It is the work of some 15,000 engineering years. This is just extraordinary work. And as a result of that, CUDA is now a functional, safe computer. So now I told you I was going to show you what would we use Omniverse and Cosmos to do in the context of self-driving cars. But I want to show you how we use the car to reconstruct digital twins automatically using AI and use that capability to train future AI models. Okay, let's play it.
Now, the exciting thing about NVIDIA is that data center, that S-curve, we're not at the top of it yet. But on top of that, we're talking about automotive, we're talking about robotics here later in the video. But I truly believe, and I have for a while, that automotive, autonomous vehicles are going to be huge for NVIDIA. Right now, it's about 2% of FY 2024 revenue, only 2% of revenue. And if you look at data center, that 5-year CAGR, compound annual growth rate, it's 75%. Automotive is only 11%. But I do believe that this party is just getting started. When you think about the future of vehicles, autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles, robo-taxis, essentially they're computers on wheels. Now, NVIDIA already is state of the art when you think of gaming, and now with data center. And what's the next logical stage here is a computer on wheels. And this is why I've always said that Apple should have continued with the electric vehicle project. I mean, if you think about the future of cars, they are essentially computers on wheels. And what better company than NVIDIA to power this next generation? Now, if you look at the last year, the annual run rate is up about 25%. And within the next 2 or 3 years, you'll probably see a huge ramp up when you think of autonomous vehicles and NVIDIA. So this isn't necessarily going to be revenue next quarter or even the next 2 or 3 quarters. This is if you're owning NVIDIA stock and you're thinking about the future. What are those next secular trends that NVIDIA can capitalize on? And this is definitely one of them. I believe that if NVIDIA keeps the pedal to the metal, so to speak, that it will be the #1 most valuable company in the world by a landslide. Now, a lot of people think Tesla could be the largest company in the world, and that could happen, especially when you think of Optimus. Now, what's interesting about Optimus is Jensen Huang didn't mention Optimus, so it makes you believe that Tesla and Elon Musk aren't partnering with Jensen and NVIDIA for Optimus. Could that change down the road? Absolutely, and NVIDIA could be part of that. Now, I believe that Tesla is probably going out on their own, They're already working as a fabless semiconductor company, essentially taking designs to a fab like Taiwan Semiconductor and having those manufactured. And there'll be plenty of competition in the automotive sector. Now, with that said, NVIDIA did announce last night that Toyota, Aurora, and Continental have all joined the list of mobility firms developing and building consumer and commercial vehicle fleets on NVIDIA accelerated computing and AI. You probably know that Toyota is the world's largest automaker, and it'll build its next generation vehicles on the NVIDIA Drive AGX Orange system. And it's also using NVIDIA Drive OS operating system. So that could set a precedent, and many other companies could jump on board.
We are going to have mountains of training data for autonomous vehicles. Of course, we still need actual cars on the road. Of course, we will continuously collect data for as long as we shall live. However, synthetic data generation using this multiverse, physically based, physically grounded capability so that we generate data for training AIs that are physically grounded and accurate and or plausible so that we could have an enormous amount of data to train with. The AV industry is here. This is an incredibly exciting time, super excited about the next several years. I think you're going to see, just as computer graphics was revolutionized such incredible pace, you're going to see the pace of AV development increasing tremendously over the next several years. Humanoid robots, my friends, the ChatGPT moment for general robotics is just around the corner. And in fact, all of the enabling technologies that I've been talking about is going to make it possible for us in the next several years to see very rapid breakthroughs, surprising breakthroughs in general robotics. None of this would be possible if not for this incredible project that we started about a decade ago. Inside the company was called Project Digits, Deep Learning GPU Intelligence Training System. Digits. Well, before we launched it, I shrunk it to DGX and to harmonize it with RTX, AGX, OVX, and all of the other X's that we have in the company. And it really revolutionized, DGX1 really revolutionized, where's DGX1? DGX1 revolutionized artificial intelligence. The reason why we built it was because we wanted to make it possible for researchers and startups to have an out-of-the-box AI supercomputer. Imagine the way supercomputers were built in the past. You really have to build your own facility, and you have to go build your own infrastructure and really engineer it into existence. And so we created a supercomputer for AI development for researchers and startups that comes literally one out of the box. I delivered the first one to a startup company in 2016 called OpenAI, and Elon was there, and Ilya Sutskever was there, and many of the NVIDIA engineers were there, and we celebrated the arrival of DGX1, and obviously it revolutionized artificial intelligence and computing. But now artificial intelligence is everywhere. It's not just in researchers and startup labs. You know, we want artificial intelligence, as I mentioned in the beginning of our talk. This is now the new way of doing computing. This is the new way of doing software. Every software engineer, every creative artist, everybody who uses computers today as a tool will need an AI supercomputer. And so I just wish that DGX1 was smaller. And imagine, ladies and gentlemen, this is NVIDIA's latest AI supercomputer. And it's finally called Project Digits right now. And if you have a good name for it, reach out to us. Here's the amazing thing. This is an AI supercomputer. It runs the entire NVIDIA AI stack. All of NVIDIA software runs on this. DGX Cloud runs on this. This sits, well, somewhere, and it's wireless or connected to your computer. It's even a workstation if you like it to be. And you could access it, you could reach it like a cloud supercomputer, and NVIDIA's AI works on it. And it's based on a super secret chip that we've been working on called GB110, the smallest Grace Blackwell that we make. You know what? Let's show everybody inside. It's just so cute. And this is the chip that's inside. It is in production. This top secret chip we did in collaboration. The CPU, the gray CPU, is built for NVIDIA in collaboration with MediaTek. They're the world's leading SoC company, and they worked with us to build this CPU SoC, and connect it with chip-to-chip NVLink to the Blackwell GPU. And this little thing here is in full production. We're expecting this computer to be available around May timeframe, and so it's coming at you. It's just incredible what we could do.
This presentation was mind-blowing. And I've been long NVIDIA stock since $3.94 back in 2017. Now I'm overweight in my portfolio and I have to figure out when I want to trim some of that back. But I'm telling you right now, this stock has more room to go and the possibilities for NVIDIA are endless. This isn't just about data center anymore. Everything from AI agents to autonomous driving, robotics, and much, much more. I could spend a lot more time talking about NVIDIA stock, but in the interest of time, I want to show you a quick chart and tell you where I think the stock could go. Now, never buy a stock off these analyst price targets, but I think they're good to look at to give you an idea and for sentiment. You can see NVIDIA has 37 buy ratings, 3 hold and 0 sell. Now, the highest price, $220, which is pretty high. The average price is $177.03. The lowest is $135. So if you look at the average, we got a 25.97% upside at $177 a share. Now, of course, earnings are next month, and that's going to be critical, and that can make the stock go much higher or much lower depending on that data and the guidance. Now, a reminder, or for those that are new to the channel, we were pounding the table when this stock back in 2022 is $15 a share. So if you bought the stock anytime between basically then and now, you've done really well in NVIDIA. It's down almost 6% today, but in the last year, it's up 169%. In the last 5 years, it's up 2,204%. This is a nasty red candle here that's taking us back to the 50-day moving average. So this is a simple moving average here, the yellow line. This is the 100-day moving average, this red line. This purple line is the 200-day simple moving average. Now, a lot of times you'll see algorithmic trading that'll take you down to a level like the 50-day. So this isn't that extreme, but because we have such a deep red candle, you could see more pressure. I think the stock has a solid floor around 125 without a catalyst such as earnings or something like that, an earnings miss. This 200-day moving average is $119. So it's possible it got to $119, $125 if something really bad happened. I think if the stock does dip below 125, it'd be an opportunity to buy it if you don't already own it. Will it hold up to the 50-day moving average? Probably, but if it dips below it, this 100-day moving average is about $132. Now, these are Fibonacci pivot points. The S3 is $116 and the R3 is $155.58. The previous R3 was $162. And this red line, I just moved it up, but this red line's $177. That's the average analyst price target. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it's good to have that line in the sand. I believe if earnings are good, that you will see the stock above that 150 level again, probably 165 to 175. And if the stars align, it's possible you could see the stock at $200 a share or higher. Now, I'm not going out and buying this hand over fist. I've owned it since $3.94. But this is what I'm seeing on the chart, and I do think that this stock will do well long term. At a certain point, NVIDIA is going to see a cycle. It's going to have margin pressure. It's going to have a situation where it reaches a top, it's going to fall dramatically and trade sideways for a year or two. I don't think we're at the top of that S curve yet, and I expect that earnings will be good throughout 2025. If you're new here, you need to make sure that you subscribe to this channel because we are bringing videos like this to you. We're bringing technology, disruptive technology trends every single week. And if this video was helpful, return the favor. Drop me a like, drop me a comment. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.